So wanted to go over my setup real quick. The radio is a Striker 955, and I got that from Clay's over there in Texas. I ordered it online. It's it's stock. I mean, I didn't have him do anything to it other than tune it, and it, as far as the transmitted audio, the tune wasn't important. That I didn't care about that because I was going to bypass all that anyway. So basically, the reason why I spent the money on the tune was to get the receive aligned and dialed in, and the receive is pretty good. I mean, it does pretty good. And so so what I'm doing is I've got one of Motormouth Mall's modulators, and it's the way I set it up is I've got the audio basically routed into the final section of the radio itself. So it's, I guess you can classify it as direct inject. John says it's not really direct inject. It is, but it isn't. It's kind of a, I don't really know what to call it. It's so it, yeah, I mean that's what it is. It's just bypassing all the internal transmit parts of the radio itself. So I'm bypassing the stock limitations as far as bandwidth and modulation, and controlling that externally through the modulator. So the modulator's got 3 pots. It's got a carrier pot, which I control the carrier with that. The audio pot pretty much controls the audio, but that's where I control the negative peaks, and I generally keep those about 98-99%. And then positive peaks, I generally keep those around 140-150%. And so I mean it's not really a complicated setup. It's pretty simple. In this truck, I can't get too elaborate with anything. I can't use any outboard gear. I've got no room for anything like that. So all my processing is done in the box, just 100% strictly software. And so I use a PC. It's small form factor PC. It's a little desktop computer. It's about the size of a Cobra 29, and it's more than fast enough memory and everything to do the job and then some. So as far as DAW, you know, a lot of people will use different DAWs, and it doesn't really matter. It's what you're comfortable with. It's what seems more intuitive, or whatever, how it interfaces, you know, or how the interface of the DAW works. I mean, everybody likes something different. John uses Live Professor. Some people use Pro Tools or Ableton Live, and there's a couple dozen other ones. I use Reaper, and so I like Reaper. I've been using that for, I'd say, probably close to 4 years now. I've been processing audio for a little over 5 years. Still a lot to learn, still learning, enjoying it. It's a lot of fun. But as far as the microphone I'm using, it's Blue, like the color blue is the brand name, and the model's a Spark SL. And my interface is an Audient ID14, and it's pretty straightforward. You know, it's not really, it's just a mic, an interface, a computer. The modulator goes into the radio. As far as like how I monitor everything, my LP100A gives me you know, complex impedance, reactance, my ohm load, SWR, and of course shows the output, the wattage output. So it's pretty straightforward. And Sweet 16 is what I use for my amplifier, and I tune the radio to the Sweet 16. So I never run barefoot, and that's how I run it. And not doing a lot of power. I keep my radio wound back so it's doing about 35 watts BEP. And it's a Striker 955. It's capable of 70-80 watts easily, but I just don't feel like it's necessary to run it any harder than that. And then with the amplifier, it's doing about 600 PEP, so there's plenty of headroom and everything, keeping it running cool. And yeah, man, that's pretty much it. You know, as far as the antenna system, it's a couple of Predator 10Ks. I took 4 antennas, mixed and matched some pieces to get a good tune, and they do a pretty good job. But that's about it, man. So yeah, I just wanted to go over that real quick, and if you guys any questions or anything, leave it in the comments and I'll get back to it. So we'll catch you later. Bobby Boucher back out.